সুপ্রিয় দর্শক সবাইকে স্বাগত জানাচ্ছি টিভিএন24 টেলিভিশন আয়োজিত নিয়মিত অনুষ্ঠান টিভিএন অ্যানালিসিস। আমি হাবিব রহমান আজকে আপনাদের সাথে। আশা করি আপনারা যারা বাসায় বসে দেখছেন, যারা ফেসবুক লাইভে দেখছেন, যারা পরবর্তীতে সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া ইউটিউবে দেখবেন, সবাই ভালো আছেন, সুস্থ আছেন, নিরাপদে আছেন। আজকের যে বিষয়টি নিয়ে আলোচনা করব সেটি প্রথমে জানিয়ে রাখি, অনেকে ধারণা করছেন এবং বিভিন্ন এক্সপার্ট বিশেষজ্ঞরা বলছেন যে হোম প্রাইস, রিয়েল এস্টেট প্রাইস, এটি কিন্তু ক্ষেত্রভেদে 30%, কেউ কেউ বলছেন 50% পর্যন্ত কমে আসতে পারে। তো কথা হচ্ছে যে আসলে এটা কোথায় এটি কমে আসবে 50% বা 30%। নিউ ইয়র্ক সিটি বা নিউ ইয়র্ক এরিয়াতে যারা থাকেন, নিউ ইয়র্ক স্টেটে, তাদের ক্ষেত্রে কতখানি এটা কমবে সেটিও একটি দেখার ব্যাপার। এছাড়াও হোম ওনার্স অ্যাসিস্ট্যান্ট ফান্ড যেটি ছিল সেটি কিন্তু আসতে শুরু করেছে, সেই ব্যাপারটিতে আলোচনা থাকবে। অনেকের যারা রিয়েল এস্টেট কেনার আশা ব্যক্ত করেছেন এবং মনে করছেন কিছুদিনের মধ্যে কিনবেন, কিন্তু এখনও ক্রয় করেনি বিকজ ইন্টারেস্ট রেট সো হাই। কথা হচ্ছে কিছুদিন আগে পর্যন্ত কিন্তু এই ইন্টারেস্ট রেটটা বেশ কম ছিল, তখন অনেকে ক্রয় করেননি রিয়েল এস্টেট। যারা করেননি তারা কিন্তু আসলে দে ইনভেস্ট ইন অপরচুনিটি। এখন যারা ক্রয় করবেন দে উইল গেট দ্য রিয়েল ভেরি হাই রিয়েল ইন্টারেস্ট রেট। কিন্তু আমরা গত সপ্তাহে দেখেছি 7.37%, এটি কিন্তু এখন কমে এসেছে। দিস ইজ এ গুড সাইন। আবার অনেকে কিনছেন না, বলছেন যে বাড়ির দাম এমন হারে বেড়েছে, যদি 20% ডাউন পেমেন্ট না দেই পিএমআইটা হাই থাকবে। এটি নিয়ে বিভিন্ন বিতর্ক আছে, বিভিন্ন শঙ্কা আছে, এটিও আমরা দূর করার চেষ্টা করবো। এছাড়াও হোম ওনার্স ইন্স্যুরেন্স যারা নিয়ে থাকেন, আপনারা অনেকে জানেন যে এখন হোম ওনার্স ইন্স্যুরেন্স নেবেন, ইন্স্যুরেন্স কোম্পানি আপনাকে পুশ করবে যে ওকে টেক এ ইন্স্যুরেন্স ফর $500,000, 5 লক্ষ টাকার ইন্স্যুরেন্স নেন, এটাতে কিন্তু আপনার ইন্স্যুরেন্স প্রিমিয়াম বাড়বে। কিন্তু পক্ষান্তরে দেখা যাচ্ছে আপনার যে বাসাটি আছে, এই ল্যান্ডটি আপনি মনে রাখবেন, যখন এটি আগুন ধরে যায়, গড ফরবিড, এটা আমি আশা করছি না এরকম, এটা কিন্তু ইন্স্যুরেন্স কোম্পানি রিবিল করে দিবে। আপনার কিন্তু আসলে ইন্স্যুর করা উচিত যে ল্যান্ড, দ্য প্রপার্টি, ওকে, সেটি আসলে কত হওয়া উচিত এবং এটি কিভাবে নির্বাচন করবে, এটিও একটি আলোচনার বিষয় থাকবে। এবং যারা আমরা একটি এক্সাম্পল ধরে নিব, দের ইজ অ্যান এক্সাম্পল। ধরুন আপনি $150,000 আর্ন করছেন, আপনার জন্য কতখানি ডাউন পেমেন্ট প্রয়োজন এবং আপনি আসলে বাড়ি কিনলে আপনি কোন শর্তে কোন জিনিস দেখে আপনি বাড়ি ক্রয় করবেন, দিস ইজ ভেরি ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট। এবং এই গুরুত্বপূর্ণ টপিক আজকে ডিসকাস করার জন্য আমার সাথে আছেন মাইকেল মোতাজুদ্দিন, CPA, Certified Public Accountant. Thanks for showing up again.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I know we joke around and we talk about different things, and because we understand the topics we're talking about, so it's very clear-cut, straight talk for us. But today I want you to break down quite a few things. But before you break down, I know we were talking a few minutes ago about the homeowners assistance fund started coming. So I want to tell people, and this is very important, because it's been a while. I think it came in January, somewhere around that time. What it was or is, and why people are receiving, and who are the people who are receiving, and how some people missed out on it.
Sure. So this program opened up in early January. But I'll say now we can't apply right now anymore for it. It's closed.
You cannot apply.
Yes, but now, so that was for people who were behind on their loans, on their mortgages. They were either in forbearance, didn't make the payments. So this program was based on income, and they would give you up to, if I remember correctly, it was up to about $50,000 of missed payments or even future payments. So the great news is all the funds are being released now. A lot of our clients are seeing the money come in. So if you did apply for this, please check your email. There's a bunch of DocuSigns that come into the email. Don't miss it, because you don't want to miss out on this. It's really important. And look, if you applied and you haven't heard anything, come to my office. We'll make the call, and we'll see where you're at.
Okay, so let me just break this down in an easy fashion so everybody understands this. আপনারা যারা হোম ওনার্স অ্যাসিস্ট্যান্স ফান্ডের জন্য অ্যাপ্লাই করেছিলেন, আপনারা অনেকেই প্যান্ডামিকের সময় যারা মর্গেজ পে করতে পারেনি, ফেল বিহাইন্ড অন মর্গেজের পিছনে পড়ে গেছিলেন, তাদের জন্য একটি ফান্ড নিউ ইয়র্ক সিটি অর স্টেট ওয়াজ ইট? নিউ ইয়র্ক স্টেট একটি ফান্ড ছিল। যারা অ্যাপ্লিকেশন করেছিলেন তাদেরটি এখন তাদের ফান্ড আসা শুরু করেছে। আপনি কিভাবে জানবেন আপনি পেয়েছেন কিনা? প্লিজ চেক ইউর ইমেল। আপনার ইমেল চেক করুন, এখানে অনেক DocuSign তারা পাঠাবেন এবং সেখানে বলা হয়েছিল ক্ষেত্রভেদে আপনার ইনকামের উপরে ডিপেন্ড করে আপনি কিন্তু $50,000 পর্যন্ত পেতে পারেন। সেটির প্রমিস ছিল যেটি আপনি পিছনে পড়েছেন সেইটি, এবং সামনে যে ফিউচার পেমেন্ট আছে আপনি যদি সেখানেও পড়ার সমস্যা থাকে এইটাও ইনক্লুডেড ছিল। সো যারা হোম ওনার্স আছেন নিউ ইয়র্ক স্টেট, স্পেশালি নিউ ইয়র্ক স্টেট, দিস ইজ ভেরি ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট, আপনাদের জন্য অত্যন্ত গুরুত্বপূর্ণ। অনেক সময় লেগেছে, ইট টুক লং টাইম, বাট ফাইনালি ইটস হিয়ার। অন দ্য সেম টোকেন, অনেকেই যারা অ্যাপ্লিকেশনটি করেননি, লট অফ পিপল হু ডিড নট অ্যাপ্লাই ফর ইট, যারা করেননি, আপনারা কিন্তু ইউ মিসড আউট অ্যান অপরচুনিটি। এই জন্য আমরা বারবার TBN24 বারবার বলে থাকি, যে প্রোগ্রাম আসে আমরা এই প্রোগ্রামে আগে ভাগেই কথা বলে থাকি, ওয়ে অ্যাহেড অফ টাইম আমরা ডিসকাস করে থাকি এবং তার পুঙ্খানুপুঙ্খ বিস্তারিত আপনাদের কাছে তুলে ধরি। এই প্রোগ্রাম যারা মিস করেছেন তারা মিস করেছেন। ডোন্ট মিস ফিউচার programs এবং অত্যন্ত গুরুত্বপূর্ণ। Now that brings me to the current discussion.
Well, let's go back to one thing on that.
Sure.
If you applied, we had an extremely high success rate in my office. So if you applied and you haven't heard anything, look, give us a call.
Okay, I think this is very very important.
An extremely high success rate.
কিন্তু আপনি কিছুই শুনেননি, never heard anything.
Correct.
Right? কিন্তু অ্যাপ্লিকেশন আপনি ফাইল করেছিলেন, you can go to his office and get some help. Because those people who applied,
correct, there's very good chance.
Okay, okay. যারা দেখছেন, যারা শুনছেন, যারা অ্যাপ্লিকেশন করেছিলেন কিন্তু কিছু শুনেননি, কোনো ইমেল পাননি, কিছু পাননি, কিন্তু আপনি জানেন আপনি অ্যাপ্লিকেশন করেছিলেন, they must have gotten at least one email that you have filed.
They should have gotten an email, but a lot of people did not check their emails, and they said if you don't respond in 10 days, they're going to make it inactive. Don't worry, we can make it active again.
Okay, I think this is also very important. যারা অ্যাপ্লিকেশন করেছিলেন হোম ওনার্স ফান্ডিং এর জন্য, আপনি তাদের একটি নোটিশ তারা পাঠিয়েছিলেন যে 10 দিনের মধ্যে যদি আপনি তাদের কাছে রেসপন্ড না করেন তাহলে আপনার অ্যাপ্লিকেশন ক্যান্সেল হয়ে যাবে। সেরকম অবস্থায় যদি আপনি থাকে, আপনি 10 দিনের মধ্যে অ্যাপ্লিকেশন কোনো কিছু রেসপন্ড করেনি, প্লিজ সি হিজ অফিস, আপনি ইউ ক্যান গেট সাম হেল্প. Definitely you can get some. This is good money. This is $50,000, up to $50,000.
Right. I mean, there's caveats to it, but in general, yes. And but remember, it doesn't go to you; it goes to the lender.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Even if it goes to lender, you save that money.
You do save that,
right?
You do save, but there was a miscommunication where people thought they were receiving the money and they were going to pay the lender.
It's very similar to what the landlords and tenants.
Exactly.
Right. So the money goes to the landlord kind of thing. Okay.
Same.
যারা আপনারা হোম রেন্ট অ্যাসিস্ট্যান্ট করেছিলেন, আপনাদের অনেকেরই মনে আছে, এই অর্থটি কিন্তু তহবিলটি সরাসরি পাঠানো হয় যিনি ল্যান্ডলর্ড, যিনি বাড়িওয়ালা, তার কাছে, not you directly. যদিও you two work together, আপনাদের দুজনকে একসাথে কাজ করতে হয়, হোম ওনার অ্যান্ড ল্যান্ডলর্ড। এই ক্ষেত্রে এটি কিন্তু আপনার মর্টগেজ সার্ভিসার।
Correct. It's going to go whoever owns that mortgage.
Right. So আপনার ব্যাংক যিনি আছে তার কাছে যাবে। কিন্তু আপনারা যারা অ্যাপ্লাই করেছেন, সুখবর আপনাদের জন্য।
And if you got something, if you have Wells Fargo, definitely come see our office because they're particularly want a package filled out, and it's really important that it's done correctly.
Okay, so especially যদি আপনি Wells Fargo loan নিয়ে থাকেন, see his office. This is important, and I'm not really advocating for his office. You can go to any experts within, but if you go to him, he's going to be happy and give you a cup of coffee too. He doesn't invite me at least once. He did not. Okay, he's now offering me a ticket for some events tomorrow. I'll take on that.
Oh, good.
I'll take on that.
Then we'll see you tomorrow.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about home prices.
Sure.
There are experts, field experts, market experts. They're saying the home price will come down 30%. Some goes even further.
Correct.
And they say they'll come down to 50%.
Correct.
And they give you the reasons. The reasons are, one, there are a lot of people who are older populations, have stocks, and stock is plummeting. So they might sell out their house. So there will be more supply coming into the market. Now that's one. The mortgage rate, another one they're talking about. The other one is very complex. I don't want to bring it up. It has to do with the bonds, yields, and yield curves, and treasury.
Yes.
So there are three reasons. But when we were discussing, you said yes, it's true for certain reason, and certain regions, and it's true. It's very true for our community here, especially in New York areas, but not so much. So start from there. Why the price will come down?
Well, look, let's talk about the 50%.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, as everyone remember, during COVID, a lot of people left New York. A lot of people left California. They went to these other states. Why? Because they were able to work remotely, such as Texas. Some went to Florida, some went to Arizona. Those are the markets that you saw the biggest increases in home prices.
Okay,
Tremendous.
So Arizona, Texas,
Right. So
California.
the ones that went up the ones that went up the fastest are the ones that are going to come down the hardest.
So Texas, California, Arizona.
Remember, people left here because they didn't, in Texas you don't pay income tax.
Right. So they left New York City or high income areas
Correct.
such as Jersey, and they went to
New York,
Texas,
Jersey,
right?
California.
Yeah,
They all
Texas or Florida.
Correct.
And the price went up.
correct.
So now those prices will go down because
Yes, because they went up so fast.
Okay. A price, Texas, California, Texas, Florida, what else you said? Arizona, right? এখানে খুব দ্রুত পরিমাণ মানুষ ওখানে চলে গিয়েছিলেন রিমোট কাজ ওখান থেকে করতেন because the houses were cheap. Now এত দ্রুত বেড়েছে, যত দ্রুত বেড়েছে ওই অঞ্চলগুলোতে তত দ্রুতই হাউস কমবে. The faster it went up, shot up the price, the faster it will fall.
Yes.
Those places you think will see a 50 up to
Those
50%
those are the ones that have the hardest hits. And also, as you see, yes, they went remote, but everyone's bringing them back. So if there's not an office that exists in those states for them, they have to find a new job.
Okay. MD Rafi said something. Okay, I mean, it's an interesting comment, Mohammed Rafi. I'll bring it up a little bit later. Okay, so that's 50%. Let's talk about 30%. Which areas do you think will have a reduction?
Look, I don't think New York is going to have a 30% drop.
Okay, so that brings.
When I say New York, I mean like New York City and Long Island.
Okay, so we're talking about the 5 boroughs, Long
Five Borough
Island.
and Westchester. They're not going to see. That's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen. But how much reduction we are talking about?
I would tell you it's about between 10 and 15%.
10 to 15% reduction, price down.
Correct.
In these areas, 5 boroughs and Long Island, Westchester County.
So remember, Long Island's, there's a lot of money in Long Island,
Right.
so it's not the really expensive houses. You're not going to see that much of a hit, but the starter homes, you'll definitely see a hit.
Okay, so in a normal circumstances, you have at any given time, supply and demand dictates the market, right? In average, every year, there are, okay, so in a grand scheme of things, there are 84 million single homes in the U.S., right? And at any given time during the year, throughout the year, there's 500,000 houses for sale. That number is, when it goes up, meaning you have more supply than demand, the price comes down a little bit. That actually works hand to hand with the interest rates. So past few years, we have seen the interest rate was really low. And people who were iffy did not buy a house. Let's talk about that population first, then we're going to go into the other discussions,
Okay.
PMI and all those things.
Okay. I mean, look, also, this market is unlike anything you guys have seen. One, we had wage growth, so that also impacted it. We had pent-up demand from COVID. There was a ton of stuff that went on.
Fine.
Okay, so that's also, it's not just, this and this. We had so many things coming at the low interest rates, everything.
The low interest rate, high income.
Right. This is like
free money.
It was a perfect storm.
It's a perfect, in a good way. In a good way for the buyers.
For the buyers,
For the buyers.
Well, no, for the sellers.
For the sellers, how so? I thought it was for the buyers because they have money and have lots of free money from different sources.
But think about when you bought.
Oh,
If you just recently bought, I can't say
then you
that.
are not a seller. I mean,
You're not taking an opportunity.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So let's talk about that opportunity. When you had a low interest rate, you had money sitting, in your account, but you still did not take that chance when it was a perfect storm for sellers and buyers at the same time. It's a very unique situation.
Correct.
People who did not do it, which situation they're in today?
Look, those people, they may not be in a bad situation because
They may not be in a bad situation.
Not at all.
Okay.
Because as the market's coming down and they have cash and they're showing huge down payments, you don't have to buy 100% cash, just big down payments, you can create an opportunity. You can literally lowball a house.
Okay, so let me break it down. So that means I can offer somebody who's saying, hey, this is a $800,000
Yeah, you can offer them,
asking price,
just say, hey, listen, I'll offer you 720.
or 700 flat.
It all depends how long it's been on the market.
Which they were not even listening. Give me the scenario 6 months ago.
I can give you a scenario what was it, like a month ago.
Okay, give me the
I think I spoke about it last time.
Right.
So someone made a very low offer, and they said absolutely not. And this was like maybe 4 months earlier.
Right.
They called and said, "You still interested?" No.
Okay, so your example, যারা বাসা কেনার চিন্তা করছেন 6 মাস আগেও 4 মাস আগেও 4 months 6 months ago when you offered something to a homeowner that it's 800,000 and you said okay maybe 800,000 if you offered the homeowner had 5 offers somebody is interested to pay 820 for that right now আপনি তাকে অফার করতে পারেন 750 or 700,000 and 6 মাস আগে this homeowner আপনার কলই ধরেনি he didn't even pick up your call now same homeowner is calling back saying hey you still have that offer is that what you're saying
Yes.
Okay now the situation is a lot of people and this is where the clarity is needed I have the money but the inflation is high so the $100,000 2 years ago and $100,000 today, it's not the same. My buying power has reduced, right? That's one. Second is, at the same time, the interest rate shot up, right? So last week, we saw the interest rate 7.37%. You are saying there's a good news, it
Good
went
news,
down.
it went down quite a bit. Right? Like regular single-family homes are at 6.25.
6.25%, 6.25%.
That's correct.
Okay, so people who are thinking, hey, I want to wait. There's a few months ago it was 4%, 3%, and now it's 6.2. Maybe it's going to go down even further. What would be your advice to them?
It's definitely not going to go down. They already talked about it.
Right.
This coming week, we're getting a big rate hike.
Right.
Look, the reason everything's going like this with the rates is because there's no certainty in the market on where the Fed is going with it.
Okay, so in Bengali, I have to say, কোনো নিশ্চয়তা দেখতে পাচ্ছি না আমরা. There is no certainty, he said, right? And there's a lot of volatility
Correct.
at the same time. Another thing I hear a lot, and I want to hear from you, is that this interest rate hikes are structural. And when they say, to me, it sounds like that they are trying to tell you it takes time to come down because of being structured that way. Is this a correct assumption or understanding?
The idea behind it was they were trying to do that, what they called that soft landing, where they're not trying to destroy the economy, not trying to put everyone out of work. They're trying to slowly try to control inflation. But as you can see, and as you see in the reports,
Right.
it's not exactly working the way they want it to.
Okay, so the people who are looking for a house and want to buy a house, should they take the risk now? And if they do, what kind of risk they're getting into? Is this a good investment?
Sure. So, I mean, the ones that have the money, and we're talking about like 20% down or more, look, you're going to be able to weather any storm that comes to you.
20% or more,
Right.
no issues.
You shouldn't have any issues because the market's not going to come down more than that. So
Right.
you'll never be so back in the subprime, they were called underwater. Underwater means your home is worth less than your loan.
Okay, so you borrowed $500,000. Your home currently is $300,000. So you're underwater.
Correct.
You actually own a home, but you still owe that money, and your value of the house is less than what you bought.
Correct.
For.
So basically, you would sell it, and I had to pay the bank.
Yeah, even if you sell it, you still owe money to the bank. That's
Correct.
underwater.
Correct.
Compared to that today,
Today, that's not really the issue. Especially people who want to put 20% or more, you guys don't have to worry about it. The most important stuff you got to realize in this market is how long you're going to hold this house for. It's called buying rights.
right?
Okay? Again, if you have a long horizon, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. Don't make yourself crazy. If you find the house you like, buy it. If you have a short horizon, this is where it gets a little complicated. Everyone's situation is different.
Okay, so if you're buying for short term, this is a complicated situation.
Very
right now.
complicated.
If you are buying a house for 5 years, 10 years,
I would say if you were,
plan
say 10 or more.
10 or more, and you plan to stay there, this is not a bad situation.
It's not a bad situation, and we all know the rates are going to come down probably end of next year, so you always refinance.
Okay, so let's talk about this one, refinancing. So what kind of terms as a buyer you should be looking at in this current market that allows you to refinance and bring the mortgage down when it is actually comes down?
So right now in this kind of market, when the rates are much higher than what we're used to, you should always look at the ARM loans. ARM loans are always more attractive, and you're going to refinance. You know that. So why would you be paying a higher interest rate
Right.
today?
Okay, so with that, there are certain understanding, I would say misconception in the market, or generally understood concept, that okay, if I pay less than 20% or so, my PMI is going to stay throughout the loan, and I have to pay count that extra $200, $300. That's one that I need you to break it down and explain. I'm going to come down to insurance after.
Okay, so for an FHA, that doesn't count. But for a conventional loan, the PMI can easily come off. You do not need to refinance. When you've paid down 20% of your loan, so your what's called the loan to value.
Yeah. So let's say $100,000 is your total loan. You paid off 20%.
Let's just say let's make it even easier. Okay. Let's say the house is $100,000, the loan's $95,000.
Okay.
When that loan reaches $79,999, your PMI automatically comes off.
80%.
You don't have to do anything.
Okay. So that's for a conventional loan.
Conventional loan, which is most of the loans.
Most loans. Okay.
Okay. Now let's say you did some work to the house, and you know your house is worth even more than what, say it was 100. You say, okay, it's got to be worth like 120, 125 now.
Right.
All you have to do, you don't have to wait to pay down that. All you have to do is order a new appraisal. You send it to the bank, and the PMI will come off.
Okay. So appraisal at that point plays a vital role.
It's a huge role.
Okay.
It's everything when you're not paying down the loan to pass that.
I have another misconception that I'm going to bring it up, which is some people remodel and they think their price of the house went up. It's a generally understood term, but I see it's misunderstood many times. I'm going to come to it, but we have a caller. I want to take this. কে আছেন আমাদের সাথে ফোনে?
জি, আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
ওয়ালাইকুম সালাম।
জি, হাবিব ভাই।
জি, বলুন।
ভাই, আমার একটা প্রশ্ন ছিল যে আপনারা আজকে ওই টিভিএন 24 যে আপনারা ওই যে হোম ওনার ব্যাপারে যে কথাটা বলতেছেন,
কিসের ব্যাপারে?
তো আমরা যেমন যারা মনে করেন ওই ফরবিয়ারেন্সে ছিল, তো ফরবিয়ারেন্স থেকে বাহির হওয়ার পরে সময় শেষ হওয়ার পরে যখন ব্যাংকের সাথে সেটেলমেন্ট হলো যে মর্গেজের, তো এরপরে আমরা নিউ ইয়র্ক স্টেটে যখন এই মানে এই অ্যাপ্লিকেশনটা সাবমিট করলাম, তখন তারা বললো যে তোমাদের ব্যাংকের সাথে সেট আপ হয়ে গেছে, যার কারণে তোমাদের এই অ্যাপ্লিকেশনটা আমরা মানে ডিনাই করলাম।
ওকে।
এখন আপনারা বলতেছেন যে ডিনাই করেন বা যে কিছু করেন।
আমরা ডিনাই কথা বলি নাই, কিন্তু আমি আপনার প্রশ্নটি নিয়ে আলাপ করব। আপনি গুরুত্বপূর্ণ একটি প্রশ্ন নিয়ে এসেছেন, বাট আমরা ডিনাইয়ের কথা বলি না। আপনি কিন্তু মিক্স করুন। আমরা বলেছি যারা অ্যাপ্লিকেশন করেছিলেন কিছুই শুনেননি এখন পর্যন্ত, তাদেরও কিন্তু সুযোগ আছে একটি, হ্যাঁ। কারণ 10 দিনের মধ্যে ওদের কাছে একটা ফেরত যাওয়ার কথা ছিল, কোনো একটা ব্যাপারে রিপ্লাই করার কথা ছিল, সেটাও যদি না করে থাকেন তারপরেও আপনার একটি সুযোগ থাকবে। কিন্তু আপনি মর্গেজ সেটেল করেছেন, ফরবিয়ারেন্স সেটেল করেছেন। আচ্ছা, আমি এই প্রশ্নটি তুলে ধরছি সিপিএ মাইকের কাছে। Mike, his question is, he was in forbearance, and then he came out of the forbearance, he settled with the bank, whichever term he did. Then he applied for a forbearance assistant, and they denied him because he said, you already settled with the bank, therefore you don't qualify. Please explain.
So, yes, it's for people who have to qualify, you have to be behind by something, right? But you already settled bank, which tells me you probably did a modification or some type of payment plan.
Right.
Okay, the idea is you don't do this. This is the payment plan.
Yeah.
Okay, but you're not out of the game. Okay.
You are?
You're not out of the game. He could possibly get money for the future.
Okay. So আপনি যিনি ভাই ফোন করেছিলেন, আপনি কন্ট্যাক্ট হিজ অফিস। আমি বলবো যে আপনার উনি বলছেন যে আপনার এখনো সুযোগ থাকতে পারে, কিন্তু আপনার যে সিচুয়েশনটা সেই সিচুয়েশনটা একটু ডিফারেন্ট। সেটা কীরকম? নিয়মটি হচ্ছে আপনি ফরবিয়ারেন্সে আছেন এবং আপনি মর্গেজের বাহাইন্ডে ছিলেন, পিছনে পড়ে গিয়েছিলেন। এটি ছিল তাদের জন্য, কিন্তু আপনি মর্গেজ থেকে বের হয়ে চলে এসেছেন এবং সেটেল করেছেন, রিফাইন্যান্স করেছেন অথবা মডিফিকেশন করেছেন, লোন কোনো একটা কিছু করেছেন, সেটেল করেছেন। তারপরে উনি বলছেন যেহেতু আপনি অ্যাপ্লিকেশন করেছিলেন, ইউ মে হ্যাভ এ চান্স, আপনার একটি সুযোগ থাকতে পারে। ইউ মে হ্যাভ এ চান্স।
Just bring your paperwork to my office, the deal you worked out with the bank, and we'll go from there.
Okay. So we were talking about the remodeling, house remodeling.
Yes.
Okay. A lot of people buy it and they say, okay, you know what? I'm going to remodel the kitchen. I'm going to remodel the basement, and I think I bought the house for at $500,000. Now it is the appreciated value should be $200,000 more than what I bought. So therefore, I think it costs $700,000. True, false? Why not?
Okay. When you put money into a house, there are certain things that bring you the most value.
Okay.
Right? So bathrooms always bring value when you update the bathrooms. People spend way too much money on kitchens. The kitchen that you think looks great, someone else is not going to see the same way.
Yes.
Okay? So you got to be very reasonable with that. With the basement, finishing the basement, same thing. Same thing. People put a lot of extra money.
People, I like fancy kitchen. Do you?
Of course I like fancy kitchen.
We all like.
But I might not like your fancy kitchen. And you might not like mine.
That's exactly what I was trying to hear. So you may make it a Taj Mahal.
Exactly.
Right? I may not like that Taj Mahal.
Correct.
Right? Because that was your own choice.
Correct.
And mine could be very contemporary, right? As opposed to seeing a Taj Mahal and sitting there eating.
Correct.
Right? And that actually does not create value for me.
Correct. The place that create value really are the bathrooms. Landscaping is big. Also, the floor, flooring.
Flooring.
Okay, a lot of people think, oh, I have carpet. You know what? Hardwood floor always looks better.
Yeah.
It just does.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, siding on the house, not falling off, fixing that, it makes sense.
It's true. Roof.
Exactly.
Roof.
Roof repairs.
Yes, yes. These are very important.
But it's also what they call curb appeal. When someone drives up to that house, how does it look?
Yeah. When you drive up and you say, you know what? Wow.
Yes.
This wow factor has value. The buyers are automatically attracted to it.
Correct.
You don't have to, upsell it.
Correct.
At that point,
Look,
right?
if you're going to fix a house, you call them Home Depot specials for a reason. That's what you use.
Okay. Let's take another call.
Sure.
All right. কে আছেন আমাদের সাথে?
জি হাবিব ভাই আসসালামু আলাইকুম
হ্যাঁ, ওয়ালাইকুম সালাম, বলুন।
I have a question. I wanted to buy the $200,000 for the 2-bedroom apartment, but my age is 57. My wife she is 48. So what was the better for us, the co-op or the without co-op?
Co-op or condo, আপনি কোনটা কিনছেন?
Yeah, condom, right.
You're
exactly.
buying condo, okay. So আপনার প্রশ্ন হচ্ছে কোনটা ভালো হবে, co-op or condo, right?
Exactly, Abhi
Okay.
bhai.
Okay. ধন্যবাদ আপনাকে. So you heard
I did.
the question. Good.
Look, I always suggest you don't buy a co-op. There are multiple reasons. Okay, co-ops are very.
Co-ops
are just.
co-ops.
They are just extremely difficult. There's not just, hey, I like the house and the seller wants to sell me the house. There's a board involved. Okay, the board.
And board takes decisions.
And not to mention, they look at your tax returns. They don't like self-employed people. They like people with like a W-2. Okay, so if that's you and you have a strong W-2, then you know what? Then go for the co-op.
Right.
But for the majority of people, look for a condo.
Another thing when a condo versus co-op is when you decide to sell, it becomes very challenging for co-ops.
Co-ops also don't move up in value.
Huh?
Co-ops normally don't move up that high in value.
Okay, so you gave me another reason. So উনি যেটি বলছেন co-ops কিনতে পারেন, co-ops এর ভ্যালু বাড়ে না সহজে। সেকেন্ড হচ্ছে co-op যখন আপনি বিক্রয় করতে যাবেন, আপনি চিন্তা করেন রাখবেন না, আপনার কিন্তু বোর্ডের পারমিশন লাগবে। They need approval from the board.
It's very
extremely difficult.
It's very difficult.
Not only that, if the board don't like you, they can make your life really extremely difficult.
Yeah, but they won't even give it to you. So you don't have to.
Well, let's say they gave it to you.
They have the right to buy it. If they don't like you, they have the right to buy it from you.
Yeah. So and they can force you to do
Correct.
so. আপনাকে পছন্দ করেনি, আপনি ক্রয় করার কারণে আপনি বাসায় একটু শব্দ হয়, এই হয় সেই হয়, তারা কিন্তু আপনাকে ফোর্স করবে to give it up. Give it up. So co-op is, আমি সবসময় বলতে I'm not an expert. You are an expert. But I always tell friends and families don't go for co-ops.
Don't go for co-ops.
Okay.
Don't ever
condo
go for co-ops.
is a lot better. Why
Correct.
condo is better?
So condo, you actually own your apartment, right? A co-op, you just have a lease. You have the right to live in that unit, right? Not to mention you don't own anything. You're basically
You own a
at
piece
the
of
mercy of the board.
Right.
Okay, and they call them like co-op commanders for a reason. The board.
The board.
Exactly. No, condo is definitely worth investing your money in. You will see the return on that stuff. It's just that the co-ops really don't move that much.
Okay, so let's move on to the third and fourth options. The PMI, we already talked about
Yes.
it. What are the usual missteps people have or misconceptions they have and mistakes they make when taking insurance for a house when they first time buy it?
When they first buy a house, right, it's the coverage that you're trying to get to, it's based on your loan amount, okay? Or the replacement cost, whichever's higher. Okay, so say you get a $700,000 loan. You need to have $700,000 of coverage on the dwelling, right? The mistakes where everyone makes is, okay, most insurance brokers want to give you that low deductible or that nice, or they're going to give you a higher deductible and your policy is going to be down. That's just like car insurance, up and down, just like
Right.
that. Where people get into trouble is they have to figure out who's their insurer. If it's not a good company, they won't pay your claim. So it's very important.
Yeah, so your house burned down, God forbid.
Right, and say it's
And you have a
some
bad
insurance company that has a horrible rating, you might as well not buy insurance.
So what would be your advice to people who are actually new home buyer? Because new home buyers really usually do not have a lot of experience.
Correct.
And generally speaking, there are 5%, 10% who are very picky and really do the homework.
Correct.
That's a good thing. But people who are first-time home buyer, this is the last thing in their mind. Should it be the last thing?
The reason it's always last thing is because that's the last thing the bank asks for.
True.
Right, to close the loan, right? But the most important thing as a homeowner, it doesn't matter if it's your first time, 10th time, you got to figure out who the insurer is. Okay, you have to go to somebody that doesn't just get a quote from one place, right? You got to look at it. You got to look at the coverages. You got to look at the deductibles. There's a lot that goes into this. It's not as simple as that.
Okay. So,
And here's the most important one.
which is?
When people buy a house, they never change the insurer.
Okay.
So it just keeps going up and up and up. They don't shop around.
That actually happened to me. Until I started shopping around, right? I found it's a difficult process to work with the loan different, because what happens, some mortgage are they come with the insurance company binded together, right? And they pay the mortgage. So when you take a new insurance company, you really have to update that information. Tell your mortgage company that I have a new insurance company. I paid for it. You don't have to worry about it, and that comes out of this your mortgage payment.
Yeah, your escrow.
So explain
Correct.
that.
So let's say you got a mortgage 6 months ago.
Correct.
And you realize, you know what, I'm paying way too much. I got a better quote from whatever insurance you're going to take. You need to actually send the policy and the receipts and everything else to your lender. So the question is, how do I do that? That mortgage statement you get every month, it has all that information.
Yeah,
on it.
line items,
It has everything.
everything.
You just flip it over in the back, it tells you everything.
Yeah. So most of us don't look at it.
I know that.
We just look at it, $3,200. Okay, that's my mortgage, right? Some people have an automatic setup, some just send out a check. But if you look at the back page of it, you will see what company has been providing you the insurance and how much
No,
it
I'm saying to you,
costs.
what you want to do, aside from that, you should have your homeowner policy anyways. But most important thing is, how do you update it?
Yeah, and that's,
When on the back of that, it tells you what to do and how to update your.
so the back of your statement,
Correct.
the letter that comes every month to
That
your
nobody
house,
looks at,
regardless,
yes.
or email you get,
Right.
It should have the second page where it says,
It should say, okay,
if you would like to update your
or you have
insurance
any
policy,
questions or anything, that's the number you call.
that's
They'll
the number
direct you.
call. And we seldom look at it.
Correct.
Okay, so let's
It's
take another
it's
call.
more. It's like they just forget about it.
Yeah, we all forget about this. I did for first few years, and then I said, you know what, hey, I'm paying too much. Okay, কে আছেন আমাদের সাথে ফোনে?
আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
হ্যাঁ, ওয়ালাইকুম আসসালাম। প্রশ্নটি করে ফেলুন, আপনার কাছে কিন্তু অফুরন্ত সময় নেই।
না ভাই, আমার একটা প্রশ্ন ছিল যে আমার কাছে কিছু লিকুইড মানি আছে, আমি এখন ছোটখাটো একটা ব্যবসা কিনলে ভালো হবে নাকি বাড়ি কিনলে ভালো হবে?
আচ্ছা, আপনার কাছে কিছু ইনভেস্টমেন্ট আছে, কিছু ক্যাশ আছে, আপনি বাড়ি কিনবেন নাকি আপনি ব্যবসা করবেন? I think this is a very good question. He has some money. He is contemplating whether he should buy a house or invest in a business. I get the question a lot.
Look, right now, look, you got to figure out how much you're paying for rent. But here's the thing: your house is never going to give you any money, really, like cash flow.
Yeah.
So look, if it was me, I guess what kind of business it is, and what kind of cash I'm going to get from it. That's the most important. Because
Yeah.
look, a house is not going to actually just pay you.
So
you got to look at that.
There's two ways looking at it.
Yes.
And then you correct me if I'm wrong. First of all, you're right. If you buy a house, there's no income coming in. Rather, you have to pay the mortgage. Yes, the house appreciates in value. This is generally understood concept, and that's really what happens. There are some downturns, but those are exceptionals. So house value will go up. That's an investment if you look at it, but it will not generate money every month. It's not a business. Second one, you can take that money and invest in the house stock market, for an example. But I tell people not to do it unless they have expert advice. That money can appreciate in a different way. It can generate income every month. Even if you invest in a business, and if you think the business will do good, then you should go do that. This is
Look, the way I look at it is, look, buying a house is not going to make you rich.
true.
Okay?
True.
But making a successful business, that'll change your life.
Yeah.
Okay? The reason I'm also telling you to do the business, I agree with you with the stock market, is when you do your own business, you have control. When you invest in the stock market, you have
You
no
don't
control.
have
You have no control. It's
Yeah.
the owners of that company that you invested in.
Right. Another thing, only 10% people actually own a stock in the U.S. We look at a stock market like as if everybody owns a stock. Not everybody owns a stock. Only 10%. 10% U.S. citizen or U.S. population owns a stock. 90% don't. And only that 10%, out of those 10%, only 10% of that 10% makes money.
Correct.
So it's a high risk involved.
It's
You don't
definitely
know.
high risk involved, but if you have to play the game, the stock
But
market.
I think you said something very important. If you invest in a business that you're going to run, you are in control, and you should do this, and it will generate money for you. I think that's a very important takeaway from that.
Correct. It's everything because that's the control you have.
Yeah.
You can't control the housing market, so we already spoke about that. You
Yeah.
can't control the stock market unless you know exactly what you're doing. But a business, you're in full control.
Yeah. Sometimes we buy a house and become house poor. That term
Yes.
there, it's there. You own a house, you own a piece of land, but you are poor because you are somehow making it happen by paycheck to paycheck.
Correct.
That's a very painful situation.
Yes, most people are either car poor or house poor.
Car poor, that's a good term. We don't realize it. We go out of our means to buy a car because I like it. I have to have a BMW. Yet I don't make enough or generate enough money to actually comfortably own that.
Correct.
Or operate that. And that becomes a bitter pill to swallow.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's where most people are. They're
That
either
also
one or the
puts
other.
a dent on your credit histories and stuff like that if your income is low.
Credit scores don't see the income, really.
No, not income, but when you go to buy a house, they're going to see income with the liability, and they will say the
Correct. This
liability
is
is
all it's
higher.
going to affect is your debt to income ratio.
Debt to income ratio. Yeah, that's true because your debt is higher, income is low, and you are at risk.
Exactly.
Okay, so finally we're almost to the end. I wish it could have been longer so we could discuss a lot more things. People who are poised to buy houses, what would be your advice to them? Should they buy in this environment? And if they do buy it, what should be they looking for? What should be they watching out for?
So if you're going to buy a house because you want to buy a house and you have the capital to do so and you feel like your employment is stable and you're going to live there for a long time, go for it. People who are on the fence, they're not sure where their jobs are going to be, they're a little shaky, you should trust your gut and maybe take a pause and see where the market goes.
Yeah, step back, relax, keep an eye
Exactly.
on the market, keep an eye on the economy in general.
Exactly. And it's not going to you're not going to miss an opportunity by not buying today.
Yeah.
It's not going to go like that. It's going the other way around possibly.
Yeah, once again, the homeowners assistance, you want to remind people if they have issues, questions like this, what
Yeah,
should they
listen,
do?
anyone who applied in the past, you haven't heard anything, you haven't seen the money, you haven't seen DocuSigns, just call my office. We'll help you out. We'll make the calls for you, and we'll see where it is. A lot of people heard they just stuck with this case manager.
Yeah.
Just got to call.
Yeah, because they will be stuck forever there. Okay, Mike, as usual, thanks again.
No problem. Appreciate it.
I
Thank
hope to
you.
see you again, and we'll have great shows next time. We'll let people know what we're going to talk about, and we have a comprehensive show just like this one.
Sounds good.
ওকে সো আপনারা যারা এতক্ষণ অনুষ্ঠানটি দেখছিলেন আশা করি অনুষ্ঠানটি ভালো লেগেছে বেশ কিছু তথ্য আমরা তুলে ধরতে পেরেছি এবং পরবর্তীতে বিভিন্ন অনুষ্ঠানে যেটি করব আমরা জানিয়ে রাখবো আপনাদেরকে আপনারা জানাবেন আপনারা কি জানতে চান যে যেখানে থাকবেন ভালো থাকবেন সুস্থ থাকবেন নিরাপদে থাকবেন আমাদের সাথে অর্থাৎ TVN24 টেলিভিশনের সাথে কারণ TVN24 বিশ্বজুড়ে বাঙালির কণ্ঠস্বর শুভরাত্রি
TVN24 টেলিভিশন দেখতে আজই কল করুন 7187776556 লগ ইন করুন www.totalcablebd.com